Welcome to Drinks Coach, lowercase Drinks Coach UK, lowercase Vinesack. If you want to contact me through social media, that'll be Instagram or Twitter. Follow me on Facebook, I'm there. Also, you're watching YouTube. That's pretty much the social basket, isn't it? Hit the bell, subscribe. It's always nice to have new subscribers. If you do, then you'll be notified of new shows. They're coming thick and fast at you. Spring and summer has sprung, although it's raining outside. But really, really cool wines here. Every while, I think I need to do a kind of a fizz update. And I went really hard on English sparkling and English wine in general, table wines also last year. For no more reason than I think if I have a channel like this, and it's my channel, and I think that certain things need bigged up, then I don't answer to anyone. I'm my own boss. And English sparkling wine is as good as people say it is. I do have my reservations in different places, and I think you'll see that when I talk about these wines, because certainly one of these wines is a wine that I've had a big turnaround on. Without further ado, we have a wine from Kent, Balfour Estate. We have a wine from Devon, Sharpham Estate. We have two wines from Hampshire, Exton Park Vineyards. So, where are we going to start? Here. This is a wine which I tasted not nary 7 days ago at the Marks and Spencer's press tasting up at their head office. First time I've been out and actually shook someone's hand. First time I hugged anyone. Hi, Hazel. And they had a really interesting range of fizzes, as they always do. And they do very well on the sparkling wine side of things. Sorry, that's quite a tough little cork we've got there. There we go. This is one of the wines that really stood out for me. £20 champagne is almost a thing of the past. I think we're all aware of that if we have ever drunk it before. And we're drinking it on a reasonably regular basis for whatever reason. But £20 English sparkling, there are some out there. Shout out to Tesco's Finest English Sparkling, which certainly last year was brilliant. I haven't tried it for a year. Don't shoot the messenger if you try and you think it's shit, right? But this is from an estate owned by Ken Balfour in the south. The estate, the actual estate and its grounds are known as the Hush Heath Estate. And they've made a decision not to have that written on the labels. From now on, it's going to be called Domain Balfour or whatever, Balfour Estate. And So that's the name going forward. And they've been rabid in their ambition to make the best English sparkling rosé. And to a great extent, they've achieved that. I mean, certainly in reputation terms. If who says, pick a rosé sparkling from England, and you talk to a group of experts, the wine that comes into people says, Balfour, okay? Now, that wine's about 35 pushing £40 for their estate wine. This wine is a non-vintage. It says Hush Heath Estate on the label, but I'm sure they're going to change that. Classic Cuvée Balfour. This is £20. £20 at Marks and Spencer's and other known outlets. Well, why is this so good? I mean, this is made by a kind of a father and son winemaking team. There's a lady involved as well. I'm very, very sorry, I forgot your name. That's appalling. But there's Owen Elias, who made wine for 20 years at Chapel Down, which was one of the great kind of stalwarts, one of the great starters in this whole story of the great runaway gold kind of rush success of English sparkling. And Owen Elias' son, Fergus Elias, has come to work with him. And Fergus brings in a slightly more conventional modern winemaking know-how from his university experiences, which belittles the huge amount of wisdom and the pioneering dynamic that Owen gives the whole English wine world, because without him a lot of things wouldn't have changed. And he was trying all sorts of crazy experiments. I remember trying Chapel Down Pinot Noir at Richard Phillips's very fine restaurant that was at Chapel Down at the time, and tasting it and thinking, that's different. Has it been through malolactic, which is a process that most red wines don't? And the answer said no. I think I don't mind that. There's courage involved, but I think that Fergus's technical reason and Owen's creative spirit and his wisdom and things that have gone well or not so well for him in the past produce an unbeatable winemaking team. or so it seems. And the inexpensive wines like this are really high quality. If this is baseline, we should be following Balfour with a very, very, very close eye. The wine, it's got such an integral smell. It has a beautiful smell of pink lady apples. There's a citrus of sorts, like a yuzu. Dean Cannon, if you're watching, you should try this. Beautiful acidity, because it's from England. I mean, it's bound to be, but Kent is a little bit warmer than other places in the UK. The balance is right. The level of residual sugar is right. There's no scrawniness plus sugar, which leaves this kind of sweet and sour, gawky, daddy long legs tension. This wine has got concentration. It's got enough sweetness to lift the fruit out at a relatively young age. It tastes like it's had appropriate lees aging. That means when the wine, the grape yeasts die in the bottle, how long have they been left in the bottle sur lie? And it certainly feels like it's more than 24 months. And so you're getting some of those flavours that grown-up sparkling wine ought to have. It doesn't taste as thin-lipped and as, I don't know, reluctant to speak as I think previous young Balfours have. And maybe that's just because they have now reserve wines, which give the wine more amplitude, more richness. But I would really, really struggle to find a better sparkling wine for 20 quid in the world. It's absolutely brilliant. Well done, Owen. Well done, Fergus. That's a cracking start. No mistake. Remember, Marks and Spencer's. You can buy it with one banknote. So, Sharpham. What's the story about Sharpham? Sharpham is the most beautiful wine estate. It's actually on this wonderful meander. It's actually an estate built into the River Dart in Devon. And if you look down on it, it looks like a scene out of Lord of the Rings. It's like the Shire. It's beautiful and green and fecund and pretty, and it's got beautiful plants and trees. And they're building, I think, with lots of investment, a very fine hotel on site, etc., which is great. But the reason why it's nice to bring Sharpham into the view is because we don't talk about Devon very much when we talk about English wine, sparkling or otherwise these days. And I remember being a very enthusiastic 19-year-old watching BBC Food and Drink, a show I went on to co-present, which is one of the great, great honours of my life, and saw Oz Clarke and Gilly Goulden waxing lyrical about the table wines from this estate called Sharpham. And I remember Oz saying, make no mistake, if you put this in a lineup of French wine, certainly from the north, you wouldn't be able to tell which one was English and which one was French. And that was the first time I heard anybody say that England was capable of making better wine than the wines from the continent. They're continuing to make really good sparkling wine. And this, not still wine, but this is the first time I've tried their sparkling. Now, the sparkling wine only retails, again, for about £20. Branded, probably more like £25 now, I imagine. But it used to be 24 months aged on lees. Now it's a full 3 years, if I'm mistaken, or 30 months certainly. So this has had as much aging as Tattinger, or possibly nearly as much as Bollinger. This has been given the proper, full patient treatment in the cellar that champagne would normally get. It's a Pinot Noir Chardonnay blend, more Pinot than Chard. Comes in this sexy black catsuit. Okay, look at that. Right, so. That's pretty lovely. Okay, first thing is, it so smells of Pinot Noir. Not in a red wine way, but just, you get used to the idea of a wine being Pinot driven or Chardonnay driven. Well, this smells of, ready for it, buttery biscuit base. This is like crumble digestives, and there's a butteriness and a fruitiness to it. It's strawberry cheesecake. It's lovely. The fruit's up front. It's bright. It's delicious. It's youthful. I think it'll improve with 6 to 10 months in the bottle. Right now, I think the Balfour just has it, but these are both in the same price point. And if you can't find this, this is no shame. Absolutely delicious wine. Well done, Sharpham. And I have to come and visit one day. It's so overdue. You're the first kind of magical English wine estate I ever heard of, and I promise I'll rectify that when people stop dying in the streets. Okay, so here we have two wines made by a really lovely lady called Corinne Seeley. Corinne Seeley has the most unbelievable CV of winemaking. Most recently, winemaker at Domaine de Chevalier in Bordeaux, one of the great wines of Bordeaux. There's a handful of wines there that really can't be beaten anywhere else in the world, and she was responsible for one of those. Her ex-husband, Christian Seeley, ironically also has sparkling vineyards in round Hampshire called Coates and Seeley, a wine I recommended on the show before. The wines are stunning. They're no longer together. Corinne is making this wine, and I find her utterly charming and very open, very stylish lady. She's the winemaker at a vineyard which is, it's hard to think of a vineyard more pretty. It's a single big rolling kind of amphitheatre of vineyards with this lovely little cherry tree in the middle. I can imagine it'd be the perfect place to propose to somebody. But it's beautiful. They've got this incredible subterranean cellar now. But the reason why I'm showing these wines now is because I opened one of 3 wines that Corinne very kindly sent me, and it was the Brut. And I drank it with my wife and one of my wife's very, very best friends she hadn't seen for a billion years. Seeing orangutans at some sanctuary in Borneo. And it seemed appropriate to bring a bottle of this along. I'm sure Corinne would have appreciated it, being drunk in social company. And the wine was utterly stunning. If anything, it was just a little bit young in release. But what they've done is over the 10 years, they've produced some vintage wines, less and less so, until they've had reserve wines going back 10 years. Now, reserve wines are wines which have been made into a table wine, so fermented from grapes, but then kept in tanks, and then they're blended again, put in the bottle, and then fermented. So all sparkling wines of this sort of quality, of ultra premium / champagne / ultra premium English quality, they're made from different blends put together, some older than others. So when you see a wine that has no vintage on it, it doesn't mean non-vintage. It means multiple vintage. And I opened the Brut because the Brut was always the wine I was kind of less excited by when she opened them. And we have now 2 wines here which I've never tried before. So this is all very exciting. This is real time. I'm going to taste these wines for the first time while you watch. But actually the labels are wonderfully explicit too. How sexy is that label, man? I mean, it's a bit dark, so it's starting to be difficult to see. But RB 28 means that this wine was made from a reserve blend of 28 separate wines that have been kept back up to 10 years to mix together. So there's huge amounts of excitement and anticipation about drinking this wine, because even wines like Krug don't have reserve wines going back that far. So it's really special. Also, this particular wine is the wine I've always adored Corinne making, and it's their Blanc de Noir. This is made from Pinot Noir, and I think maybe Meunier as well. But this is a wine which is made just from red grapes, and she kind of redefined, I think, how I saw Blanc de Noir. If you drink Blanc de Noir from France, it tends to come from the southern districts like the Aube. The wines are quite open and broad and delicious and quite wintry. In summer, they're almost a bit flabby and a bit loose, and they don't have the refreshment factor. Then I tasted Corinne's first release of Blanc de Noir, and it's tight and firm, and it's couture cut, and has this amazing perfume. So I'm just filling in while I open this bottle, because I'm genuinely excited about trying this. The packaging is exquisite, I have to say. Well done, Corinne. The fam, as it were. Okay. Whew. God, there's very few wines I get this excited about, to be honest. It's superb. The nose is intensely youthful. Although there's a kind of a notion of primary fruit, because obviously some of this wine the majority of this wine will be very young, it'll be from the latest release. There's then the seasoning of older wines, which gives this vinosity, this wininess, this unfruity, winey character on the nose that you only get from wines that have spent patient time in the cellar. First of all, the mousse is exquisite. The creaminess, the texture is wonderful. And then there's this very low pH, which is sort of like high acid, but it's more than that. There's a precision that comes from very low pHs. You have this creamy red apple mousse, and then a squeeze of key lime, the little really limey sour lime dropped into it, and it just hangs around. It's like it's there. It's got precision, but it's got a sense of persistence, which is really quite rare, even in good sparkling wines. Oh, the concentration, you could almost eat it. Fucking hell, Karine. One of the best English sparkling wines I've ever tasted. Cert. Believe, that was pretty special. Now, I can't believe we've got another one to try. This one it's called RB33, so it's made from 23 reserve blends, curated from their library. Now, from my knowledge, their first Blanc de Noirs were 100% Meunier, which is a great variety which, in Champagne, is not allowed to be grown on Grand Cru sites because it was never seen to be as noble. Correct, Pinot and Chardonnay are related. Meunier is not, as we've discovered. And it wasn't given the shrift that it maybe deserved. I mean, we're growing Meunier on the same quality sites as we're growing everything else in this country. And certainly if you grow it on chalk in Hampshire, it produces great things. This wine is in fact a rosé made up from reserves, and it's 70% Pinot Noir, 30% Meunier. I didn't check the other one. This was 100% Pinot Noir, which is what I suspected. That's a wine. That's a bloody 1.5, that is. Ian Kellett, if you're watching this, what do you think? Oh. Competition's healthy, right? Okay, right, so let's have a look at this. That's my friend from Hambledon, by the way. Okay, so let's try this. The colour's lovely. You might think, oh, it's not very pink. Well, no, because it's made from wines up to 10 years old. This is the colour of reserve wines. Now, I can see where Karine's coming from by bottling it in glass, in pale glass. I think that should be bottled in green glass too, because the colour should be a surprise when they pour it. Some people may not understand the pelure d'oignon, this kind of onion skin colour. It may look tired to some people. Oh, screw them. If they're not going to spend £45 on a rosé. This is £43, by the way, and worth every penny of it. They're not going to... If people don't understand the colour, they're probably not going to be buying this wine anyway. But it's got this wonderful burnished rose gold colour. Whoa. The Meunier jumps up out of the glass like this kind of smell of clove, spice. There's a florality, there's a smell of châtaigne, kind of roasted chestnuts, which I love it. Like, it smells like chestnut pasta. And the palate has this very developed, wonderful malty quality. The acidity and the precision that's in the Blanc de Noir is there, but it has this veneer, this kind of royal icing smeared over the top of sweet sour cherry fruit. Very, very interesting wine, very high quality. If I had a choice, I'd drink this without a doubt. This wine is up there. It's right up there. People like Aigle Uriore, some of the most sought-after wines in Champagne, they should fucking watch. They should really bloody watch people like this, because this is great. So, Balfour Brut for 20, Sharpham around 20-25, £43, probably a similar money for that. See you next time.